The following presentation is brought to you through the paid memberships of NotaryStars.com, the only notary training platform and resource library with over 150 hours of training on every loan product under the sun. Together with our sister website, OnlineNotariesPublic.com, which focuses on notaries who are pioneering in remote online notary, we strive to give you a safe place to ask questions, get answers, gain confidence in your notary career, and achieve success without overfabricating the truths about our industry. If you would like to support us, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel, sharing this video with a colleague, or becoming a member and trusting us to help you achieve the level of success you desire.
Welcome. Hey there, friends. You have officially landed at Monday General Mentorship. My name is Kirsten Bly. I am not Beth. Beth, we've given the day off today. It is her birthday, so she gets to have some fun. We're absolutely thrilled you decided to join us tonight. Most of the Notary Stars crew is here. We are dedicated to supporting your notary journey and business growth. If you are a member of the training website, we have a different class every day of the week on amazing topics to help you hone your notary and business skills. So check the chat for details, as we'll be posting different information throughout the night. And as we get started here, you can raise your virtual hand at any time to ask a question or share an experience. Don't be shy. Turn those cameras on. And if you can, add the state that you are in to the end of your profile name so we know where you are at for networking and to help you with your different state compliance things. And don't forget our trustee jot form. We've had a lot of good questions come in over the past week, and we would love it if you continue to add into those questions during the week so that we can answer them for you in front of everyone. And we're going to post the link there in the chat, Amy, if you can do that. Perfect. And we'll do our best to tackle it. If we can't get to it right away, we'll do our best to tackle it. Sorry, I'm not used to doing this introduction here. This is Beth's job. So I believe that is it. Is that correct, Ronnie? Are we good to get started?
I believe so, but I would like to ask everybody to please turn on their cameras for a moment. I want to do something special for Miss Beth, if you can. So if you could turn on those cameras just for a moment. And I just want to ask you if you could, I'm going to do it on the count of 3 here, guys. And hold on, give me 1 second. Let me make sure. This is the first time I've ever done this. I've given everybody the ability to unmute, but just give it a second. If you don't mind, on the count of 3, let's give Miss Beth the wave and let's say happy birthday so that we can get this on recording, and keep those hands waving after you say happy birthday. Just make sure to unmute yourself. So if everybody could, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Beth!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Many more!
Happy birthday!
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Kirsten, I put everybody back on mute, but if you could go back through and spot check that for me.
Yep.
I'm going to make sure she gets that. And if you guys don't know, she'll probably be the first person to watch the replay because she's like that. If you guys don't know it, she wants to know what she's missed. She's already asked me this morning at like 7:30, could you make sure you take notes? Because she doesn't want to miss a thing. But I told her today, you are absolutely forbidden to work because it's your birthday. So with that said, we have a whole lineup of questions for you guys, but do not wait until the end of the hour. We're already 5 minutes in. Can you believe it? This session is about you, your questions, getting things that can help you and your notary business grow. We want to see your hands raised with any questions. We know that sometimes we ask questions and then you get to the end and you have a question. Make sure throughout the night that you are raising your hand to get into queue if you have a question. The only dumb questions at Notary Stars are the ones you don't ask. Closed mouths don't get fed, and we want to grow our businesses together this year. And believe it or not, if you have a question and you don't ask it, someone else might have it, and you might be just a little bit more courageous than them. and hear the answer that you're looking for. So you never know who you're helping by asking that question. So Kirsten, let's get started with the first question off the job form.
Okay, Ronnie, this one's actually for you. So this is from Jasmine. It says, I'm interested in learning about apostilles, but I want to know if I can do them as a remote online notary. I am going to do some mobile signings, but I really am focusing on remote online for my business. Is this something I can do as a RON notary?
Absolutely. And, if you're not in my marketing class, one of the things that I've hyper focused on this year is actually document translations, which 50% of those lead into apostille. When you're a remote online notary, you can actually, just like you can facilitate for anyone in the country or out of the country that has the right credentials according to your state, you can actually partner with notaries all over the country to facilitate apostille. So you don't have to be near your Secretary of State's office, although if you are, you can make even more money, but you can work with partner notaries close to Secretary of State's offices by shipping them or some states have e-apostille as well, but it's a little bit harder, and we're not ready to talk about that yet at Notary Stars. But you can absolutely incorporate this into your business. And honestly, guys, I am making a small mint on apostille this year. I'm doing really well, and I'm teaching my marketing class right now on how to get their sales up. So if you are interested in apostilles and you're really focusing on remote online notary, this is something that you can truly add into your business to make much more money just by being the facilitator, even if you're not close to your Secretary of State's office. So I really appreciate that question. It was really timely.
All right. Next question is for Amy. It says, I'm a new notary in Mississippi, and I want to do RON. Per the Google search AI, I get different opinions. What can I do RON notaries in Mississippi?
Well, I did the Google search too, and it's technically correct for the people physically in Mississippi. It's just wrong for notaries in Mississippi. So technically speaking, anyone can get a RON session done online, but not every notary can perform the RON session. In Mississippi specifically, they can only do remote ink notarization. They cannot do remote electronic notarization. However, the law misguidedly named it remote online notarization. So it's extremely confusing. So definitely check your laws, read exactly what the definitions mean. But for Mississippi itself, you're going to want to do a tangible document. So that means physically mailing the document in some kind of shipping system and using your ink stamp, nothing electronic.
Yeah, and I think as remote online notary unfolds across the country, one of the things that I want to remind people is that Google AI search is only pulling snippets from various websites out. If you actually expand that search, you'll see the websites where they come from. But our number one resource of what we can do in our state is going to be our Secretary of State's office, the statutes for our notary work, and our notary handbook. So make sure that you always check those three resources on what you can and cannot do.
Guess I gotta go back on, take my mute off. Okay, Amy, you said that there was a question in the chat.
Yeah, I added it to the jot form, but I think it's perfect for you, Kirsten. On the doc, that's the name that she had on here. I don't know her real name. She is in here. She says she's driving and she wants to know, how do you successfully transition from signing services to getting direct work from escrow and title offices?
Actually, I'm gonna defer to Ronnie on that. He's all about the marketing and direct marketing with his marketing class.
So guys, I do a direct marketing call every Thursday. And if you're interested in learning some of the tips and tricks that I've used to build Unlimited Ink to a national presence, if I could do it on a national level, you guys can definitely do it on a local level. And if you want to go national, I address that in the class as well. But in order to start transitioning from signing services to get direct title and escrow, I'm going to give you a really sound piece of advice because this happened to me. Okay. The very first thing is you have to market yourself to title and escrow companies, attorney clients. If you are not walking in the door, if you're not going for the no, if you are not getting over those nerves, which I can help you with, if you're not going, nothing's going to happen. Okay. So the first transition is to just start. I heard a really great quote, and I think I put it somewhere that I'm going to use in the future. But basically, if you are not ashamed of your first approach, like your first notary resume, if you're not ashamed of your first website, then you are already too late to enter the market. Okay, that means that you should be embarrassed about your first attempts. If I could go back to walking into title and escrow offices before I knew what I was doing fully and all of those things, I would just love to just pat myself on the back and be like, boy, if you only knew what was around the corner. I gave it a big stick shepherd. I see a lot of notaries get one client and then they immediately abandon signing services. And what you don't understand is when you partner with a title company, that escrow officer that initially hires you could retire, they could change jobs, they could get fired, and all of your direct business goes away. We never put all of our eggs in one basket. So you start marketing, but if you get a really great client, never burn your bridges with the signing services. You never know when you have to turn that back on. As I grew my business out in the field, I had a really great client. They would use me a lot, but if I was available, I would take an Ambrock, I would take a Mortgage Connect, I would take a Notary Go. As I built my business, I filled in my calendar with signing services. There were times at certain title companies that I worked with over the years as I built myself up that they decided that the end of the year was not that important to them. They got all of their business at the beginning of the year, first, second, third, at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And then they had an easier Christmas time so that they could let their staff off. And certain offices would handle their transactions so that their staff could be off. So you want to understand that going direct is wonderful, but you never want to burn your bridges and you can always have something to fall back on. To me, signing services are really what you want to fall back on. You don't want to burn the bridge so that nobody wants to work with you, but you do want to go for your direct clients. The other thing that I'll say to that is if you are looking to transition, make sure to diversify. We have actually Laura Bewer on the call tonight. She has a wonderful course on certified, and I hope I get this right, certified notary trust delivery agent. Did I get it in the right order? Okay, so we got it in the right order there. They have a wonderful course where you can learn about how to do trust documents with attorneys. We have permit running from Kimberly Sennett from Notary Academy under the belt of specialty work. There's a lot of things that you can diversify for. So do not think that just going direct means going direct to title and escrow. You've got a lot of clients out there. And you guys know I can talk the Irrevocable horse, so I'll leave it at that. Come see me at the marketing course because I'd love to talk to you about how to market to all those different clients.
I just want to add one thing. I have a quote that I wrote down, I don't know, a while ago, and it's actually from you, Ronnie. And it says, marketing is not about today. It is about the customers you meet tomorrow and the relationships you create.
Oh.
So that kind of fit along.
Wow, I was feeling insightful that day.
I've been waiting for the moment to put it on. It's been on my little Google Doc there for a while.
Awesome.
All right. We still don't have anyone's hands up in the gallery. Nobody wants to talk.
Well, they'll get to go, and we've got plenty of questions to spark those
I saw
minds.
Laura. Oh, Celicia. We'll get Celicia.
I just talked to you this morning.
Hey, you did. You sent me a message and I was on. I couldn't get back to you, but thank you for that fine compliment. That was very sweet.
Before you get started, I just want to tell everybody if we ever do a Notary of the Year here at Notary Stars, it's probably going to be Celicia. If you guys don't know her, please go look her up. Give her website a hit. It's Rainbow Notary Nuptials out of Jacksonville, Florida. But she helps notaries all over the state of Florida. She'd take time for you anytime she gets a chance. I think you are one amazing heart. And I have to tell you that the person that I talked to this morning said, it's her heart that they were thinking about you. So that just, it was what I've always thought, but I just thought it's confirmed when someone else says it about you and you're not in the room. So thank you for being you. And now I'm going to let you ask your question.
Well, thank you. Well, it wasn't a question, but it was another thing that I thought of. I do Rainbow wrap up before from 7 to 8 on Monday nights where all the notaries that are in the Rainbow get together. And we were talking about adding products to your Google business profile. Because some people said, well, I don't have any products. I said, yes, you do. Mobile notary, loan signing agent, wedding official, all those things. Then you take because when you do your basic services, there's only 300 words that you get to put out there. Okay. And no pictures. But when you do products, you get to do 1,000 words. So for Apostille agent, I use every single digit for everything on there, and I got a pretty flags of the world on there. But it just hit me when you said certified notary trust delivery agent, and the way I remember it is CN ta-da TDA.
There you go.
Certified notary trust delivery agent, and that's another a product that you can put out there, and it's also another service that you can put out there. And what it does, I mean, I don't want to steal Laura's thunder, but it allows you to get really comfortable with all the things that we do in piecemeal, power of attorneys, wills, pour over wills. So these are the, living wills, advanced health directives. These are the things that we do piecemeal. What we do is it's all in a nice little tight little binder. They call it a binder. And so, but yeah, it was just an idea to add CNTDA, trust delivery, to your products.
You know what? I love that you said this because I kid you not, just 3 hours ago, I was on one of our Google My Business listings because we have multiple. And I started adding in all of the languages because it'll allow you to add things that they don't have for you on there. So you can add additional services. I started adding translation services for Spanish, Italian, French, very popular languages that I would like to be drawn in for. Because our translation services department that now, thanks to Idiomatic, has grown and grown and grown. And so I completely endorse what you just said. I think we both had a great idea on that today, but we're doing two different things with it.
Yeah, Google is in the business of one thing and one thing only, and that is to give correct information. And if you're giving correct information, your stock rises. And then, of course, now they make money giving correct information, but that's how you get web authority. That's how you get moved up. Don't forget your questions and answers. Go in there and ask Chat GPT. My name is Amy Seitz, and I created Cyberize It. It's a remote online notary platform which allows people to blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Create 25 questions and answers that people would find helpful who are looking for a remote online notary platform. Enter. There they are. And of course, you've still got to do a little bit of editing. They don't get it always right, but then go copy and paste those questions and answers back into your Google business profile because Google does what? They want correct information. So as long as you're giving it, you'll move up in the world.
And Miss Alicia, there's something that I heard in a webinar that I attended because I take training just like all of you guys out there. Google loves Google. So when you're adding Google into the Google My Business listings, and you're adding information, products and services, and you're also adding in questions that can be answered on the little Q&A, Google will pull those and pull your listing because of those answers because Google loves Google. It's a Google search and a Google My Business listing within that search.
That's it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's a wonderful. This is how great minds come together, guys. Miss Alicia had an idea, and now all of you guys know about it. That's not anywhere on our list for today. Great ideas come from and come to mind and need to be shared. We got a hand raise, Miss Kirsten. Are you ready for the hand raise?
Absolutely. I see Miss Tiffany, that great notary. How can we help you?
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Tiffany Gonzalez. I'm based out of Miami, Florida. I'm working with a attorney. I'm really trying to push him. We did a whole estate planning package via remote online. He happened to be the signer because he wanted to find out how it worked. After the whole thing, he goes, I'm trying to figure out a way for you to become the electronic, if you can be a qualified custodian for the electronic wills so that I can streamline it through for my clients. And then, like Celicia just said, of course, the first thing I did was hop on ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT. And ChatGPT said that I need E&O insurance, which I have. I need Florida Corporation, which I have. I need a Florida office, which I have. And then that you don't have to sign up for anything. You just have to have those things available. Can somebody give me more information about this? If you know?
It's actually pretty easy. Oh my goodness. So a qualified custodian, I'm sorry, Kirsten.
No,
My
you're
dog.
fine.
Okay.
You don't need a physical office, but you do need to have like your LLC and all of that set up. It's more about security and document and file saving. So you're going to get registered. I put a link in the chat. So go and look in the chat, but it lists all of the parameters set by statute. And all you got to do is tell the Secretary of State that you will adhere to the law. You don't even have to get tested. All right. But once you do, you're going to save the file that was notarized. You're going to save a notarized letter from the notary. So you'd have to, if you're doing it and you're the notary, you'd have to connect to another notary like me and have that document notarized that you notarized the first file. Okay.
Yes,
And
for
then,
each will, correct? Sorry to cut you off. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, keep going.
and then you would have to have the will, and you would have to have the audit report and the video. So you have all 5 components, and then you save it. And once it's saved, I've done a Google search. People charge like $500-600 to save this data for these people. It's valid until either it's revoked by the principal, by the testator, or when the testator passes away. If it goes through probate, you have to keep it for 5 years after the death or after the date of probate. If it doesn't go through probate, you have to keep it for 20 or 30 years after the date of death. So you're going to have some kind of residual aspect of, if something should happen to me, this data would be handed off to somebody else. But that's it in a nutshell. It's really easy to do, honestly.
Thank you. And then I was telling the lawyer that and he thought this as well, about like that he's just gonna have to make like another document that kind of goes with each estate planning, in which I sign, and of course I have a million notary friends that can notarize it. Amy, thank you for that information.
You're welcome. My biggest hesitation would be, make sure you're up to speed on the vulnerable adult status and what you need to do for that, because you'll have to adhere to that in every single one, as well as the Florida financial power of attorney restriction on remote witnessing. So those are the 2 things that are going to be problems when it comes to those type of documents.
Okay, thank you. And that information is on the link that you posted. Furthermore.
The other information would be on the notary laws. So if you just go to regular Florida notary law, vulnerable adult, financial power of attorneys, when they're doing them online, read up on those, or remote witnessing. But as far as the qualified custodian aspect, I put the statute in there.
And Tiffany,
Okay, thank you guys so much.
Tiffany, you may want to also check out becoming a partner with Signing Order, because they have a secure server where you can store that information for quite some time. It's what we use to process orders, but you can create orders in there and store that customer information and data. And I think they have a 5 to 7 year. You'll have to check with them on what their document, saving is, but it's a secure server and it's locked up. So you'll have to get in touch with them about doing that. I do know that they have a startup fee of like $750 at this moment. That could change if you're watching a replay 10 years from now, but they have like a startup fee where you can get a part of that portal, and you would basically, you could assign a remote online notary through it if you didn't have one of your notary friends, or you can keep the customer documents stored up just by creating an order for yourself.
Wow. Thank you guys so much. I always know where to come to get those nice answers. Thank you guys for putting in the time.
Thank you for coming. We love it when you're here.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Are we ready for another hand in the gallery, Ronnie?
Yes, we're never gonna say no to Mr. Jabari.
Exactly.
He's on his way to greatness. I mean, I love this man. Mr. Jabari, what can we help you with today? Let's see, did he get the unmute request there? Let's see, ask to unmute. There we go.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, thank you so much. No, it's really just a simple question. It seems like, I don't know, lately when I get these packages from these different assignments, I get some really weird certificates that I just need help with. And since Ms. Beth is on vacation, let's ask you guys. It says affirmed and subscribed to before me by means of physical presence on, such date, but the language affirmed and assigned to. It's not saying acknowledged or it's not saying sworn to. Now, my assumption is that affirmed and subscribed is another way of saying a jurat, sworn to, but I'm just, the language just kind of thrown me.
So, Amy, I see you hardcore agreeing there.
Yeah, so typically when you see sworn to or affirmed and subscribed before me, that is your standard jurat verbiage. In this case, they're saying they don't necessarily need to be sworn in, but they need to affirm that this information is correct. They just took off the one word. But subscribed means they signed it in front of you. They couldn't have signed it ahead of time.
Got you. Understood. Yeah, I kind of assumed that because it is an affidavit, but again, I get so much weird wording. I just want to be sure that I am compliant. Thank you.
And Jabari, one of the things that I'll tell you that I've done over the years, and I'm gonna send Miss Laura a request to unmute if she wants to comment on this to make sure that we get a good second opinion from Miss Laura. But one of the things that I'll tell you that I've personally done over the years, if I am not 100% certain that that certificate is compliant in my state, I will use one that I know that is. Okay, so I will disable a certificate over a word if I don't feel that it is compliant with my state. You are in the driver's seat when you are a notary, and you are the one that's responsible for the car. You're the one who pays the errors and omissions insurance. You're the one taking the risk. If I am not 100% certain, I will change a certificate, whether it be liked or not. And Miss Laura, I think she came off mute. Just want to see how you feel on this particular situation as well.
Yeah, proactively, the best thing is to know what your requirements are on your certificate, because some states don't really have mandated language of any kind. They just need certain elements to be in there. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing would be that you are able to recognize the elements that make it an acknowledgement versus make it a jurat. And then the third thing is, I agree with Ronnie, if I can identify what it is, but it's got extra certifications I don't make in my state. It doesn't look like my wording, what I use, then I would replace it.
Yeah.
Same things.
Thank you guys so much. Now, one extra part about that same question is I'm just noticing now in this affidavit, it's at the bottom of the document, but it does not have a venue. So I should just add that venue on there.
Yeah, if you don't have a venue, a state and county venue for your notarial certificate, as far as I know, all of them have to have a state and county certificate. Isn't that right, Miss Laura?
Jurats and acknowledgements, but when it's an oath or affirmation freestanding, it does not. Okay. So that's why I was trying to hear the actual wording, because you have to have two pieces, an oath and a request to watch them sign. Because the jurat's about certifying a signature and administering the oath or affirmation, whereas an oath is just about the promise of truthfulness, and it does not ask you to verify the signature with identification or watch it. It doesn't have any of that. So that's why you want to make sure you can recognize that it's a jurat and not an oath, and an oath does not require a venue. All the other ones do.
Got you. Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, I just want to share something really quick with you as well. Miss Laura helped me yesterday. Beth's been on vacation, so I will tell you, I do know a lot. I mean, running unlimited ink, but I don't know everything, and I'm still up and coming myself. I do not make any secrets about that, and I turn to Laura quite often. Yesterday, we had a situation where one of the notary stars got a ping on their listing, and the notary was very nervous because the signer had reached out to them and said, I know exactly what I want the document to say, but I was wondering if you could help me create the document. And that's a very fine line that we walk as notaries. We cannot create or suggest documents. So I reached out to Laura because my personal advice was that if they're asking you just to like literally verbatim type out what they're saying or print the document for them, like if they copied it from a website and they want to put it on a PDF, you can assist your clients with that. And you never know if you're assisting someone of a certain age, you might be just helping them a lot. The only thing is you can't suggest language, you can't alter language, you can't create the language, you can't tell if that language would work or not. You have to make sure that you make that very clear. But Laura had said that if you do decide to take that route, one thing that she wouldn't do is charge a document preparation fee or itemize it out. You would do it as a print fee, so that you make it very clear in your records that you did not participate in the creating of that document. All you did was help type them out. Over the years, I've helped many elderly people type up a letter or write something out that they said verbatim and made it very clear. Never once did I think about charging only a print fee. I actually have probably old invoices. Like I've said many times, I am so glad that the statutes of limitations have passed on my first couple of years of being a notary. So just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was a really great reminder for us all. You never want to get in trouble in the name of customer service, but you never want to stay too far away from being customer service oriented. There's a fine line, and that line's got a little wiggle room where you can help your customers, but you don't want to cross the line. Kirsten, do you want to go off the jot form, or do you want to go to the hand raise?
Well, we've got 5 people in the gallery with their hands raised. Shall we do that, or do we?
Let's start going one for one. Let's take one.
Oh, right.
Let's take one from the the jot form, and then we'll go back to the hands raised really quick.
All right. So this one is for you again, Ronnie. It says, I am having trouble getting clients. I have been a notary public for over a year. I live in Oklahoma City. What are some suggestions on where to go and how to get the word out?
Okay, so first of all, there's your standards. Google My Business if you're going for general notary work, Yelp, Nextdoor. Leave no stone unturned when it comes to the free listing sites out there. Then you need to start getting involved in notary communities where you can keep your ear to the ground. Notary Stars, if you're a member, has a list of every signing service out there that you can sign up for. And everyone, probably here has done that rite of passage where we've sat with a cup of coffee in the morning, signing every contract that's out there. And then we only hear from like so many that are active in our area, but we'll hear from one every now and then, every 3 years. We all have to go through that rite of passage, and then it comes to door knocking time. You need a good website as well. You got to start doing that door knocking. If you are having problems with marketing your notary business, people say I can't afford marketing, a marketing course. I say you can't afford not to market. You cannot afford not to market your business. If you are wondering how to get started, where to go, you can't afford not to market your business. So I gave you some tips. If you're having problems after that, please come see me. I'd love to help you grow your business. Let's go to this next hand raise so that people don't get too timed out on waiting. We've got on the dock up on the screen. I like that, like on the mark, but like on the dock.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. My name is Julie. Me and my husband own a business on the dock, as you can see. In Southwest Florida is where we do our servicing area. And I know that there's like very strange things when it comes to notarial block areas for like California verbiage. I was just in receipt of a buyer package of documents, and I have it coming up this week within the next couple of days. So my question is, now, I mean, I assume what the answer probably is, but I just do need clarification. I want to make sure I execute it properly. But the documents that I was given from title, the verbiage language that, let me just double check here in front of me. The verbiage language within the notarial block area, you know, it was already filled out. It says California, San Bernardino, I believe it says San Diego, excuse me. And I know, you do your strike through and initial and put the proper state and county. But my question is, I'm also seeing this, I certify under penalty or perjury under the laws of the state of California. And that stopped me right there. And like, boom, I thought, okay, so this is probably going to require a Florida acknowledgement to follow it and not use this. Or do I do a strike through for California on there? Because I don't believe that that's the option. I believe the option is to follow it with the Florida acknowledgement. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm still learning.
Gosh, I wish Zoom came with sound effects because I would do a drum roll right now for Miss Laura. This is so right up her alley, guys. She has some of the best state training out there at coachmelora.com, and this is something that I am 100% certain Miss Laura can answer.
Sure,
Okay, thank you.
absolutely. You do have two options. One of those options is that you just replace it with a Florida certificate. There is, if it's an acknowledgement, there's reciprocity amongst all 50 states. It's at federal level, and it says, hey, I'll take your acknowledgement, you take my acknowledgement, as long as you don't break a particular rule in my state. So, and Florida certificates don't break any rules in as long as you're not breaking any rules within your state of Florida. Now, the other potential option is that you could strike California and put Florida. I'll abide by my own state rules. I'm not going to abide by yours because California
Correct.
has some very painful penalties. You don't want to be held accountable to our level. So then that's another option if you want to stay with the same certificate.
Okay, well, so pretty much it's okay for me to just do the strike through in that legal language, state language down there, penalty perjury. That's fine for me to just cross out California and just initial and write in Florida?
Yeah, do it neatly so it doesn't
Of course, yes.
create any other issues. And the one last thing I'll say about this, and I haven't found out if it's true in the other states, but I will tell you this. We will accept in California any other state's acknowledgement, even though it's not formatted like ours and have all the same details that ours has. However, if you're using a California certificate and it's a recordable document, they will reject it if it doesn't have all the California elements. So just something to think about. If you don't know what all of our elements are, you can go look. You can go on the NNA, drop down and see what that is. You can go to the SOS website and see what those elements are. So if you're not sure that it complies with California, because I've gotten California certificates from other states and all the stuff wasn't there, then I just replace it with Florida because you'll be safe.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind including a Florida acknowledgement behind it, but I just wanted to make sure I don't want to send them extra materials they don't need, but I also want to make sure I execute it properly.
And don't fill out the California one if you are attaching a Florida one. You're going to disable the California one, see attached.
That form is a signing
Right.
page for the signers. So should I just keep it as is then?
So where the signature line is for the notary, that's where I write see attached certificate, and I don't fill out any of the blanks on it. And then I attach the certificate I'm planning to stamp and sign right behind it.
Okay, got it. I'll do that then. Thank you for your help.
Thank you and welcome. I think this is the first time that I've seen you raise your hand. So welcome to the call. We love having all
Yeah,
these.
thank you.
All right, Kirsten. We have one question. We're gonna try to go back and forth because we got about 20 minutes left. The next question I believe is for Amy. Could you post that question so that Amy can answer this question for us?
The one from Becky?
Yes.
Okay. So this is from Becky K. It says, do I have to use the Ron platform that I listed on my application?
So yes, if you are using a Ron platform, you have to have disclosed that to your Secretary of State or Department of Licensing saying, I intend to possibly use blah, blah, blah platform. Now, depending upon your state, you could say you're going to use all, I think there's like 65, 68 of them now. You could say, I'm going to use all 60 some of these, but then only use one or two. Okay. But you can't do it in reverse. You can't say, I'm only going to use XYZ company and then turn around and use ABC, you know? So you have to have that documented. Now, that being said, and this is something Ronnie wanted me to stress, just because you list it on your thing does not mean you have to pay to onboard with the Ron platform. This is the list of, I might someday use this software, so I'm going to cover my butt now and do it and say that I'm using it. So that way later in a pinch, I don't have to worry about reporting it again to the Secretary of State. And sometimes it gets a little blurry on the verbiage. Like Florida says, you have to have set up an account with that Ron provider. Yeah, we're splitting hairs, but at the end of the day, don't pay any money until you actually intend to use that software. How did I do, Ronnie?
I think that's perfectly, couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much. I wanted to make sure we got that in today because I hear that from a lot of notaries, like which platform do I use? Do I have to use the one I signed up for? My take has always been sign up for as many as you can when you're first getting started and talk to your fellow notaries where they're getting their business from. So that way, if you ever needed to onboard or jump, you're not waiting. In Arizona, it could take you 6 to 8 to 9 to 18 weeks to get a new Ron commission updated to add a platform. So why not add them all the first time? All right, Kirsten, let's go to the hand raise in the gallery here.
All right. We have Jessica in Illinois. Welcome.
Hi, Jessica.
Thanks for having me. So, I'll try to be brief. I attended a networking event, and in that event, I just kind of learned like a new marketing tip from someone. I think he was like an accountant, and he said that election time is the best time for notaries as well. So, in short, I just wanted to know, like, one, are there any success stories with notaries? Because I guess like with new candidates, they have to get the petition and the signatures, and those have to be notarized. So does anybody have any experience with that? Are there any additional insights in just how can I best position myself? So just with some of the research I've done, again, Chat GPT, just like finding out like local community events and different like campaign centers and things like that. And like preparing like, I guess the packet for the candidates. Also, I guess like when candidates are getting ready to run, they have to go to a specific location and things like that. So it's just kind of saying like maybe visit those places to see, what potential candidates there are. So with that being said, just trying to, find out a little bit more in that area.
If anybody has actually worked during election time in this form, please put it in the chat saying I have. Because I'm going to share what I know, and I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction, but please put if you have, and we would love for you to talk about it. So what I know about election time for notaries is you are correct. A lot of times the signatures, what they're going to have, there's Guy there. We'll get Guy to talk about it. What I know about it is that the signatures, the person who goes and collects the signatures takes an oath saying, I collect, these are real, people from that sign this list of signatures and all of that sort of stuff. The money is being in the person who hires the people to go get the signatures because they are paid a lot of money to collect those signatures. Sometimes it can go up to $6 a signature from what I've read. And I've actually had a good friend, my former assistant, my very first assistant, is now basically retired traveling the world because they went into this kind of business. I've heard about it from them, but I do know that notaries can get it. In Arizona, for some reason, though, I've never been able to break into it They've always wanted to call they every year they call Unlimited Ink, and then they want us to send a notary down for like $100 to do multiple things that have been all over the city, and we're like, oh hell to them, no. Like we need to be paid for our services. We're not going to send somebody there at the end of the night. We'll let the first year notary go down and do thousands of affidavits. And a lot of times they just want you to come in and notarize the affidavit, and they don't even want the person in the room, which is something else that we wouldn't do. So you got to be careful getting into that. Guy said that he has.
And I have.
Do you want to tell us what you know? I just sent you the unmute request. Do you want to tell us what you know by doing this?
Thanks,
Is that the
Ronnie.
guy? There we go.
I've done a little bit of it, mostly with notarizing the petitions that the public has signed, and the petition collector's signature is what needs to be notarized.
Mhm.
In Colorado, I have learned that it's good to look into the election laws because there are things spelled out there that you won't find in the notary laws.
Got it.
So,
Ronnie,
Yes.
I just want, if there's any California notaries, first of all, the guy that collects the signatures, there's a name for him, and that is a circulator. That's what they call them.
yes,
The second thing is that in the state of California, all voting materials are free. You may notarize, you may not charge, whether they're nomination documents or they are circulators affidavits, or they are ballots, envelopes. We may not charge a fee for anything related to voting because it needs to be free access to the public. Now, I'm not saying every state's that way, and that is a notary law in California. You don't have to go searching for that. It's right there in the law for us. But in Illinois, they may not have it that way.
Can I add something to it too? Just to give it the spin of online, a lot of states prohibit election documents to be notarized via remote online notarization. So check your state laws before you venture into that kind of marketing campaign.
Yes. All right, guys. We're getting close to the end here, but we got a lot of great questions and a lot of hands raised, so we want to make sure we get it all. Kirsten, I moved up one question on the chat because I think they said that they actually have a POA signing coming up, and I want to make sure that we get that advice out there.
Okay, so this is from Cindy in California. She says, I will be handling a POA with a man in a nursing home this week. His daughters hired me for him and say he can communicate, but had a stroke that left his right side paralyzed. He is right-handed and will have to use his left to sign, and his motor skills aren't what they used to be. Since he has to use his left hand, his signature is a scribble. So her question is, should she have a credible witness if his handwriting is terribly illegible, providing he can communicate that he understands what he's signing?
Okay, so I want to point out to everybody that this is something that I see in newer notaries a lot, and that's okay. There is a difference between a credible witness and a witness to a document, okay? You have that credible witness means that they're going to be using them as a human form of ID. So a credible witness in this situation, if you have that person's ID and you can ID them, then you don't need a credible witness, and they would be absolutely no help to the signing whatsoever. Now, this is where I would say, now a person can sign their name with one hand or the other, but if they're not able to actually formulate a signature, if they're just making a mark on the paper, that's where you're moving into signature by mark. And that's something that you're going to have to kind of assess. Can they actually form a signature with the other hand? Because you can use your other hand and formulate a signature. It won't look that great, but if they're not going to be able to actually push that hand or get a signature form, now you're moving into signature by mark. Now I'm going to post the link in the chat from the National Notary Association about signature from mark. And we know that Cindy is in California. Signature by mark is going to be different in all states. Okay. Everybody's state laws are going to be different. This article as an overview, but I believe they do address it in California. So you want to make sure that if you are doing signature by mark, that may be the witnesses that you're referring to, Miss Cindy. So you're going to need to make sure that you understand California law on signature by mark. The NNA is going to be your a great place to start. Miss Laura, do you want to add anything else in on that? Did I
Yeah,
hit
no, you got it right. It's two witnesses. They can be anybody. They don't have to have ID. They don't have to know anybody. They have to be there to watch. But I will add that although the document may not always provide for it, always make them print their name under or after their signature, because there are recordable documents and other documents that will get kicked back because they can't read people's signatures and they want to see the name. So some documents are required and they provide it for you to say what's their name, and then what's like a will have a signature, their printed name and their address. And other documents like a transfer upon deed, same thing, death deed. So just make sure that whether or not it's provided, try to get that printed name as well.
Thank you, Miss Laura. We're going to go back to the hands raised in the gallery here. We got, and I want to make sure it's either Sherry or Shari, but I think it's Shari, if I'm not mistaken, but you can correct me.
Hi, good afternoon. It's Cherie.
Shari. Okay.
Yes. So I just have a quick question. Thanks for allowing me to ask the question. So I hear about, I think I wrote it down. Hold on a second. The CNTDA. So as a notary now in Florida, is that just a title, or is there something that stops me as a current notary from notarizing trust documents, estate planning documents?
No, what it is somebody that has advanced training, so they're more knowledgeable about the documents and what that process is. And so if you're already doing trust documents without that training, there's nothing to stop you. Just like you don't have to be a certified signing agent to handle loan documents. It's just a way to have advanced training so you know the lingo, you're familiar with the documents. It gives you something to talk about if you're going to approach attorneys to work directly. Okay, Cherie?
Okay. Yes, thank you.
And Cherie, I just want to kind of point something out here. So when you go into someone's office, let's say that you're going into one of those health and wellness clinics, right? And you're going to see a dietitian and you're going to get the IV for the infusion. I mean, that's someone sticking a needle into your body, right? You kind of want to see where they went to school and learned how to become a phlebotomist. And I think that's the right word for it. You want to see that they have a degree in telling you how to put things into your body. When you are trying to get clients, these certifications that are out there, like the Certified Notary Trust Delivery Agent, that is just another way to convince clients that you haven't worked with. When you are just first meeting them, you can say, oh, I worked with this law firm before, and I also took this wonderful course that, specializes in trust documents, just like you can when you can say, I took this training for, all of these trainings for loan signings. So never be afraid to take a training course to add it to your resume, because every little logo that you can add that resume gets heavier, and it'll be on that desk longer when they have something to say, wow, look at all this training that a person had. Because your clients, no matter how big you get, they're always going to want to know, how did you get here? They're always going to want to know what made you get there, because anybody can walk through the door these days and say, I know how to do something. When they can go out and see, oh, okay, wow, like this is a real training course dedicated specifically to this, it really helps. So even if you've already are doing them, I say every year try to add something new to your resume. If you're already doing them, get into a circle of people who are also doing them. Start talking with those and asking, how are you networking? How are you growing your business? It's not just about the certification. Sometimes it's about the network that you're creating with the fellow notaries across the country who are also doing them.
That's true. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that question.
You're welcome.
All right, we've got about 5 minutes left, so let's get the hands that are raised here. We've got Miranda up on the screen. Miranda, if you could ask your question when you're ready.
Hi, I have a quick question. So I've been a notary for, I'm going to my fifth year, but just started doing loan signing last year. But I came across a signing just about a week ago, and I know we have a lot of notary identification, notary letters, blah, blah, blah. They want, the typical who the client is, our stuff. I had a question because there's a huge title company here in Arizona. I'm in Tucson. I don't want to say their name because I don't want to get sued. But it's a two-page notary cover letter. But on the second part, underneath where I put my client's name and of course my contact information, it has this interesting paragraph. And I quote, title agency of the name is hereby granted an irrevocable power of attorney by the undersigned herein for the purpose of making clerical changes to the notary block. I see you docking your head. I just want to finish this as may be necessary to correct any errors and omissions. Now, I had a huge issue with this because, in essence, I am a CNDT. CN, as Alicia said, ta-da! And I know irrevocable means I can't change it. And since it didn't specify anything, and in our notary manual says nobody else is allowed to use our stamp. Now, power of attorney, that makes me feel that I'm now giving all my license, basically my stamp of this company. My problem, I guess it's not my problem. I just kind of wanted to bring this up because they informed me that they have thousands of notaries, especially in the state, that have signed this with no problem. And they were trying to reassure me in the whole 9 yards that nobody's got sued. And I'm like, yeah, I will be that one person. And I know I'm covered, but I wanted to bring this up because I know for notary letters, we just tend to sign and don't think about it. But there's a lot of times it says, you don't improperly notarize, blah, blah. And there's a lot of kind of trip us up. But this really got me. And the signing service was like, okay, we will make sure that if this company, because this company does this on every single one of their signings, it will just not use you for this. We'll use it for something else. But it does worry me that other notaries are now opening themselves up for, well, as I said, I don't want to lose my commission. This is my livelihood. So I just want to bring that up. Just wanted to say, please, guys, read the documents because they are slippy. I don't know what's a good word without being an asshole, but I just wanted to. I love the googly eyes. I just finally saw your face.
So
I just wanted to bring that up.
we're wearing our googly eyes in support of this because I have to tell you guys, you cannot, as a notary, give someone irrevocable power of attorney to change your notarial certificates. I have seen this many times, and you have to tell them no. And I am sorry, but if they use that and that winds up in court, you are going to lose. Okay, so if you've granted someone irrevocable power of attorney to change your notarial certificate, you can just say that when this goes to court, because you don't have that authority vested in you by any state. Miss Laura, do you have anything to say on that? Because this just
Yeah.
it burns me up that people put this in there.
It does. And besides what you said, so ditto to that, I would say, I think they're lying that thousands of notaries have signed it. I think that's a lie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I concur, but I'll tell you this: in life, I have never. If somebody asks me a question, I've never gotten in trouble saying no. I have gotten in trouble saying yes.
Well,
But I wanted to bring this up because it was so insidious and just sneaky in there, and I just want to bring this up because it burns me up if other people are falling for this scam.
No, I know who it is already.
Thank
I
you.
know, but I will tell you something, Miss Miranda, to help you when they say thousands of notaries are doing it. I would assume that most people here are above the age of 25, and if you're not, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Most people here are probably above the age of 35 or 45.
Mm-hmm.
And we all grew up with a 1980s warning commercial that are in the early 90s that said drug dealers' number one line is everybody's doing it. So, you know, you
Yeah.
gotta think about that. When people call on numbers so quickly to get you to do something, they are trying to sway you or persuade you to do something. Whenever you hear a number grabber call, thousands of people are doing it. It is an internal marketing ploy. You need to say, well, I need to know all of these thousands of notaries so that I can turn them into the Secretary of State because this is wrong. You know, you need to be comfortable saying, well, you know, my reply to this particular company that has this document was when we turned them down was if you can get the Arizona Secretary of State to say that this is actually okay, we would love to take you on as a client. Otherwise, we won't be doing these files. So they're never going to go to the Arizona Secretary of State in order to do this. And they couldn't.
Is this something we should be reporting? Something like this to the Arizona? I mean, I hate that.
You can't report someone for trying to get you to sign something, and you can't report another notary for doing it because you have to be the one harmed by the notary to report it. But you can put in a letter to the Arizona Escrow Association and let them know that, hey, this crossed your desk and you want to bring this up to them, and let them know who the company was. And, you know, I would say that, you know, you're just trying to create education for their community. You never know, you might be invited to speak at their Arizona Escrow Association, and you never know how many companies from Tucson will be there to thank you for bringing that education. So I would say start with the Arizona Escrow Association and just write them a nice letter saying, hey, here's a copy of language from a particular title company. I don't want to cause a beef with them, but this is something that a notary in Arizona can't do. I'd like to get the word out to you know, Arizona title companies, hoping that this will correct what they're doing here. And I think that would be a wonderful approach. Are you leaving, Miss Laura? Okay. Thank you, Miss Laura. We love you having you here today. So I would say try to write the Arizona Escrow Association. We have got to move on from this question because we got one more hand raised and we got to say our outro tonight, guys. Miss
Thank you.
Yolanda, when you are ready.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And you can also, I guess, cancel my question in the jot form. What I have done is that I have given myself another certification, which is a apostille agent. So I'm thinking, how much more do I need to increase my insurance? Because right now I have 50,000? Yeah, 50,000. So I'm trying to figure out if I need to increase it to like 100, do I need to increase it to like 1 million or something like that as I continue to add services to my business?
I would say that yes, you need to get up. If you're going to be doing apostilles, you're going to be doing some really important documents that could, you know, really cause some big problems. So you do want to have a higher errors and emissions insurance. And I'm glad that you raised your hand because I really wanted to answer this question. I would say that if you are doing apostilles and you are actually starting the work now, you're going to be working with some major corporations possibly. And I see that it looks like you're in 2 states. So you may be able to draw in, is that correct? You're in 2 states?
Yes, I'm commissioned in 2 states.
Right. So you could be drawing in, you know, depending on how you're doing it, but you can also work across the country. Insurance is a wonderful thing as you grow your business, but you know, some of these documents, like if you don't get it done and you do it wrong and it's done incorrectly, like you could seriously cause a lot of damage and they might go after your errors and emissions insurance, especially if the documents weren't notarized properly. One thing, and I see Amy going, I gotta say something, and I'm gonna let you speak in just a second, Amy. One thing that I will tell you that outside of insurance to get for your notary business is I insure every package that I do for apostille for the total value of what the signer actually spent with me in order to do anything. So if I had to do that process over, or if that like if FedEx lost the package or UPS lost it,
Mhm.
I can claim that and start the process over. It does cost a few dollars more on a shipping label in order to add on that insurance. But once you explain it to the client, like after you've spent $700 and $800 with me, if it doesn't make it to Spain, I'm going to be able to start this process over for you. And I will tell you that I have had to file a claim with FedEx, and they go much faster in processing lost claims. So I try to ship everything through FedEx. But going back to your original question, I would say if you're doing apostilles, you probably want to get as close to 1 million as you can, just in case you do a large corporation or a large company, and you're doing like a big volume with them. You probably want to probably have a higher amount of insurance. Amy, did you want to add in on that?
You kind of hit on the same idea. E&O is only going to cover if you fail to notarize a document correctly. They're not going to cover if it gets lost in the mail. They're not going to cover if you get in a car accident driving to the Secretary of State's office. They're not going to cover any kind of non-notarial rejection. All right. So you're going to want to find some kind of other insurance, and I'm not an insurance agent, so I can't tell you. I first thought is like professional liability, but I think that's for in-person type stuff. So I don't even know if that would help you. But to cover if something were to happen in the off chance that a non-notarial error occurred, you're going to want to find that gap insurance of some kind. But that's not going to be E&O, and it's not going to be your notary bond. And that was my point.
Do you have any suggestions on because I did contact NNA, and I think they only go up to 50,000. So do you have any suggestions of insurance companies that I may need to contact to get this coverage?
So insurance is going to be based on different states. So I use a company called Hiscox in order to get my errors and emissions insurance for up to $1 million. And by the way, guys, if you're using Hiscox, there are companies out there that will push back to you saying that it says it does not say errors and emissions insurance. Please look at item line 2 on your declarations page. They call it a different type of insurance, but if you look at itemized coverage, it will actually say errors and emissions. So I wish I could answer that question for you. Every state that you work in is going to be different, and you got to look for. I would get on Google and make sure that you are looking for each state, and ask your insurance provider if they're covering you in both states as well, because insurance may not, they may only insure you if you're working in one state or the other. So you got to ask all those questions. We're not really allowed to kind of, go any further into detail about that because we're not licensed specialists on insurance.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Slippery slope, but I'm too pretty to go to jail. I'll never survive. All right, guys, I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, we have reached the end of tonight. I would like to ask everybody to turn on their cameras for just a moment. I'm going to say it the way that I've said it for many years, because the person who's supposed to do the outro is not here tonight. So I'm going to say it my old school way. If you are not naked and you are not stuffing your face with a sandwich right now, please turn on those cameras and let's give our signature wave. Wave to yourself if you come back and watch the replay. Wave to those future notaries that are going to find this on YouTube. Wave to your friend that couldn't make it tonight and that'll be watching it tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. We really appreciate you. I appreciate every Monday. You guys have no idea how much this evening means to me, because I can turn off my phone for 1 hour from Unlimited Ink and just be with my fellow notaries. So thank y'all so much, and you have a wonderful night.